President being sworn in, of course, the ANC has a bigger majority there in the main house. Bulelani Philip from the SABC was in Parliament today for us. Bulelani, so a lot of hearty congratulations for the President. We showed those scenes, I think, until Julius Malema took to the podium and accused him of being in bed with white monopoly capital. Was he the only opposition leader really openly critical of the President today on this occasion?
Well, good evening to you, Francis. Basically, the President generally getting a positive response from the opposition parties, but of course they come with certain conditions, particularly around the issues that all parties have been fighting for in the lead up to the elections during the campaign trail. In the case of Mr. Julius Malema, of course, he did wish the President well in his job for the next 5 years, but giving him a stern warning that if he continues or if he listens to this concept of people who are labeled as white monopoly capital, he may suffer the same fate of former President Jacob Zuma, in that he's arguing that he will not finish his term because they will ensure that that does not happen. And he's saying that in the instance of Mr. Jacob Zuma, they had warned him that he should not be listening to the Guptas. And Mr. Malema this time is warning President Cyril Ramaphosa that he should not be having any engagements with the Rupert's family or the Oppenheimers or the Stellenbosch Mafia, as they are commonly known. And therefore that he's saying that whilst they support him, these conditions are that he should not be listening to white monopoly capital. But of course, the President, in his response, in a statement directed at Mr. Malema, he was saying that his interest is only for those of South African citizens and is not in any way involved in listening to interest groups. Francis?
Then some of the MPs who weren't there today got more attention than the MPs who were. Let's start with Tito Mboweni. Everyone was looking for them, but then he did actually arrive and was sworn in.
Most definitely, I guess this issue of MPs who did not come today is really exacerbated by, the 11th hour withdrawal of some of the MPs who were supposed to have been sworn in. Those include former National Assembly Speaker Ms. Baleka Mbete, as well as former Home Affairs Minister Malusi Kibaba, as well as former Environmental Affairs Minister who had also been now nominated to serve as the chair of chairs in the National Assembly, Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane. I guess everyone was thinking that anybody who is not in the National Assembly today would probably be following the same position as those who've decided at the 11th hour that they no longer want to take up their seats. But of course, the ANC has been maintaining that those members that have actually decided not to withdraw have got their own reasons and they should be allowed to do so. Francis?
Nomvula Mokonyane was a surprise. It seemed like a specific position had been set aside for her, the chair of chairs, the chair of parliamentary committees. Do we know her reasoning?
Well, Francis, just to take you back to Monday when the special NEC meeting was meeting here in Cape Town, she was part of that meeting, and following that meeting, the formal announcement that was made by the Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Ace Magashule, was that she would be nominated in the position of chair of chairs. One would assume that she would have been engaged on this particular position and she would have accepted it, that it be made public. But of course, we did learn this morning that she had actually written to Luthuli House to say that she is still grieving from a family loss, as well as wanted to commit some of her time, if not most of her time, towards her family. And therefore, that's one of the reasons why she would not be taking up this position. But the question really that we must ask is what has changed from her accepting this position on Monday, and now that the time has come for her being sworn in, that she's decided maybe I should not be taking up this seat. The question, though, that's the question that remains in many people's minds.
Indeed. David Mabuza, we've actually heard from him, the Deputy President of the ANC, that he wants to go before the ANC's Integrity Committee. So a lot of speculation about who now will be Deputy President. I guess all we can confirm, Bolelane, is that somebody else will have to be chosen.
That's a most definite thing. I mean, given that Mr. David Mabuza has decided to postpone, that's a phrase that's being used, to postpone his swearing in and or rather focus on the matters arising from the Integrity Commission of the ANC. Of course, that means that the president will have to go ahead and appoint somebody in that position of deputy president. Given his absence, it will definitely have to be another candidate. But the question again that arises, who does the president have in mind? I guess we'll have to wait after his inauguration on Saturday.
There's one controversial ANC member who hasn't withdrawn, but Tabile Dlamini, did you see her being sworn in today?
Yes, I can confirm that I did see her. She was one of the people that were sworn in the National Assembly this morning. Of course, I think now she's pretty much taking a back seat, given the number of speculations around her future, whether she will be making it back to cabinet or not. I guess she's also playing for time and just waiting and seeing whether the president will give her the nod to continue serving in the executive. But for now, the issue of the cabinet composition remains something in a speculative realm, and for everyone is just waiting and seeing when the president decides to formally really make this cabinet announcement, which of course is going to be a reduced number of cabinet positions given the ongoing reconfiguration of government departments. Francis?
And finally, Bolelane, talking about speculation, there is some that these members who are bowing out of Parliament may go to Luthuli House. There could be two centres of power, the ANC versus the executive. Have you heard any murmurings, worried concerns voiced in the corridors of the National Assembly today?
Well, Francis, as you've said, I mean, these are issues that are speculative in nature, and I don't really want to venture into that particular view. But if I have to, I mean, we look at the experience that we've seen in the past. If we look at the issue when the former president, who was then the deputy president of the country, President Jacob Zuma, when he was axed from the executive, he actually had a lot of time to go onto the ground and speak to the branches, and that what actually propelled him to actually win the ANC presidency position. Now, of course, the fear that many within the ANC structures is that those people who actually exit, the formal parliamentary proceedings, perhaps maybe they may be thinking of using their time that they have at their disposal to actually continue to actually try and build their support. Whether those initiatives are going to be used to undermine the current president of the country and the ANC really is something that remains in the speculative realm. Francis.
All right, thank you very much, Bolelane Philip. Wrapping up the scenes that we saw in the National Assembly today, and the National Council of Provinces, of course, it's their members' turn tomorrow to be sworn in. Now, returning